This is Ira, and welcome to Ocean Liners on Print, where ocean liner history comes to life through my paper memorabilia collection of passenger ships. We are going to discuss the Homeric of the home lines. Yes, it's personal. My first cruise ever was on the Homeric, March 28th, 1970, from New York to Nassau round trip. My passion for ocean liners started at age 4 when my parents gave me scissors and the New York Times travel section, and without supervision or injuring myself, I would cut out the cruise ads from the newspaper. Believe it or not, I saved some of these clippings. In 1966, my parents took me to the North River Piers in Manhattan, where we boarded the SS United States and the SS France as visitors. We saw the Michelangelo twice, including the time it limped in due to extensive structural damage from a violent storm. To top it off, my kindergarten teacher's husband worked for the Italian lines and used to bring me ocean liner pictures to keep. The next and very big step in my ocean liner journey was my cruise on the Homeric. Oh, you bet it's personal.
And now a brief disclaimer. Here we have me on the ladder of the bunk and cabin U-30. I'm reading the Hardy Boys book, The Phantom Freighter. Here's my father and I at the gangway to the Homeric in Nassau. Note the towering bow of our ship. The ship in the background was Homeric's running mate, the innovative and groundbreaking Oceanic. I love this picture. You have three classics, the Homeric, the Oceanic, and the white 1960 Cadillac with those legendary vents. This is my mother and I in the dining room on the Homeric. Me in the dining room being lifted by Nick and Bobo, our waiter and busboy for the voyage. There was no specialty restaurants or alternative dining like Johnny Rockets or Starbucks. All of our meals were assigned seating in the dining room. There were some outdoor buffets. Me in Nassau with the Homeric in the background. My dad and I with the aft of the Homeric as the background in Nassau. And here's my mom on a chaise lounge at the pool deck on board.
Before we go into official Ocean Liners on Print mode, hit the subscribe button.
We have a ship to catch, so let's get our baggage tags. Note, our cabin is U-30. Our departure date is March 28, 1970. We will embark between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. To embark means to board. The Homeric is at Pier 84 at the foot of West 44th Street. We need a ticket to board, so here is someone else's ticket from a 1971 voyage on the Homeric. $372 in 1971 dollars. So now we will board the Homeric through a historic journey traveling in time back to 1931. The Homeric was originally the Mariposa of the Matson Line and whose inaugural voyage was in 1931. The Mariposa was the first of three sister ships, the latter being the Monterey and the Lurline of 1932. These three ships spent most of their career up until December 1941, serving between San Francisco, Hawaii, and the South Pacific. This came to an end after the attack on Pearl Harbor, December 7, 1941. After the date, as President Roosevelt said, a day that will live in infamy, these three ships plus their smaller running mate, the Malolo, were requisitioned by the United States for military service through 1946. After that, the Mariposa was laid up until purchased by the Home Lines in 1953, and to resume service after a thorough refurbishment and upgrade in early 1955 as the Homeric. This ship had classic lines. It's a design that features a cruiser stern as well as two well-proportioned and spaced funnels. While other passenger ships of the 1930s to early 1950s featured a cruiser stern, the combination of the cruiser stern with two funnels had some influence on the design for the Disney ships of today. As shown by this 1957 timetable, the Homeric sailed from Montreal, calling on Quebec, Le Havre, and Southampton, and did the reverse for the westbound crossing. It followed this schedule until 1964, as by that time, the jetliner decimated transatlantic crossings by ship. The Homeric was placed on the New York to Nassau run. Getting back to the 1950s, people would transport their cars by ship, as their vacation would start when they arrived in Europe. Quote, passengers desirous of taking their cars with them should arrange in advance for temporary touring documents, triptych or carnet, driving license, license plates, etc. Passengers must obtain these through an automobile club on this side to avoid delays and inconvenience after arrival abroad. With such documents in his possession, not her possession, but his possession, or their possession, but his possession, the car owner can easily clear the car through customs upon arrival abroad and does not have to obtain an import license or deposit duty and purchase tax in the country of landing. Close quote. Why would anyone want to deal with such a hassle? Why not just rent a car? Quote, personal belongings or other loose articles should not be left in the automobile, as no responsibility is accepted for their safe custody. Closed quote. Another quote from the brochure. All baggage of passengers must be handled through the regular channels and cannot be shipped in automobiles. Close quote. All baggage should be sent to one stateroom or the baggage or hold room. And it says in the brochure under customs, France allows to import duty-free 1,000 cigarettes, 250 cigars, and 4 pounds of tobacco. That sounds like a lot of smokes. Here we have directions within the ship. And now a description of the purser's office. Quote, it is manned by a fully experienced staff to assist you with cash and traveler's checks. Close quote. Traveler's checks were commonly used back in the day. My father, during his travels in the 1970s, relied on traveler's checks. I don't recall him using credit cards when we traveled, and certainly ATMs did not exist. It was a different world. Next, the brochure discusses deposit of valuables. Back then, there were no room safes on most ships, only a central safe at the purser's office. Radio, telephone, radio news, telegrams, and letters. Quote, ship-to-shore telephone facilities are available at posted rates. A radio news summary of happenings around the world is printed on the ship. Incoming mail and telegrams will be delivered to staterooms after sailing from each port of call. Incoming radiograms are delivered directly to staterooms. Outgoing radiograms are to be filed at the radio office. So this is an example of the need to be connected and how people, if they needed to communicate, would do so way before the internet and smartphone age and the age of Wi-Fi packages. Let's talk about bars and lounges. Quote, you may pay cash as served or sign a slip, the amount of which will be included in your bill for personal services. When paying cash, please request a bar check. Closed quote. That's much different than today when you link your credit card to your cruise card prior to embarkation. Also today, no cash is handled for any type of onboard transaction. Today, the only way to pay for any transaction on board with one's cruise card. The writing rooms afford glass partitioned separate writing tables with stationery available for your needs. Such a room is a relic of a bygone era. Here is an ad for the offerings of the home lines from 1955 to 1964, featuring Homeric's Canada to Europe service. And by the way, besides the Homeric at the time was its first running mate, the Italia. Here's a brochure for touring Europe in your own car. Quote, enjoy comfort and economy in Europe. Close quote. Economy is not a word that is used in advertising often today. Let's say you have a car that weighs 3,500 to 4,500 pounds. The cost would be $475 to ship your car, and that would be in $1,957. Is that economical? I never thought of the advantages of bringing your own car to Europe. So here, the brochure itemizes all of the advantages. Quote, to solve your reservations and luggage problems, as well as free you from bus, air, and train schedules. Close quote. Another quote, side trips to colorful villages, shopping in the fascinating markets, seeing the countryside will all be much more pleasant if you have your own car along. Close quote. I remember traveling with my parents in South America in 1975. Someone on our tour group rented a car in Rio de Janeiro. My parents and I were walking in a tourist area, and all of a sudden, this guy from our group who rented a car sees us and starts honking and yelling that he can't find a parking spot, and in the meantime, cars behind him are honking at him, so he can't even slow down. This brochure does not address the challenges of parking that could arise. Here's another quote regarding the advantages of bringing your own car. Quote, you can stop where you like, when you like, take advantage of your complete independence, and make better use of your time when you are making your own arrangements. Close quote. Another quote, it also mentions the opportunity to linger on the spur of the moment, an opportunity you would miss when traveling by other means. Close quote. Another quote, there will be more to talk about, think about, more pictures for your album when you see Europe the modern way through the window of your own car. Close quote. So they really make a very strong argument for shipping your car across the Atlantic. Here's something interesting. Quote, before loading, all gasoline must be drained from your car for safety measures. Our representative on the pier will take care of this. Close quote. I never thought of this, but I guess a parking lot full of cars on a lower deck of a ship can be a risk for a fire and explosion. So in 1964, the home lines retired the Italia, and the Homeric was transferred from transatlantic service to being full-time on the New York to Nassau run. In 1965, the brand new Oceanic was placed on the New York to Nassau run full-time. So the Homeric did New York to Caribbean from May to December, and then New York to Nassau and Freeport from January through the start of April. And now, a directory of the Homeric. Let's take a look at some of the services and features of interest. The entire ship is air-conditioned. As the Mariposa, the ship had air conditioning limited to the dining room and possibly a few other public rooms. As part of the 1954 conversion to Homeric, the ship became fully air-conditioned. Quote, telephone service. By lifting the telephone, you are in contact with the operator, whom you may ask to place you in communication with any of the ship's services or cabins of other passengers. Close quote. The need to be connected was always there before the advent of the internet or smartphone, and of course, those onboard Wi-Fi packages. Quote, communication service. International telephonic and telegraphic service is available when the ship is not in port. Contact the radio room on boat deck for the particulars when you wish to avail yourself of this service, close quote. Once again, the need to communicate, but this time beyond the scope of the ship, which is addressed. Just not convenient like having a laptop, iPad, smartphone, and Wi-Fi packages. Under precautions, quote, for your safety and the safety of others, you are requested not to carry in your baggage any dangerous or flammable articles such as fireworks, arms, gunpowder cartridges, moving pictures, etc., close quote. Why is a moving picture dangerous? If someone has the answer, please put it in the comments section below. Quote, if you have any such articles with you, please deliver them to the purser for safekeeping, close quote. This doesn't make sense. I know this was before they had scanners to examine luggage prior to it entering the ship, but shouldn't this read, quote, these items are prohibited. They will be seized and the owner will be brought to local law authorities, close quote. I don't know. To me, it just doesn't make sense. And then again, putting all of these dangerous explosive materials in the purser's office, how does that make the ship any safer? Quote, to extinguish all matches, lighted cigarettes, and cigars. Never throw them overboard because they could be blown back and cause a serious fire. Close quote. The Homeric of 1931 vintage had portholes that could be open. A lit cigar or cigarette tossed overboard could be blown back by the wind into an open porthole, resulting in fire. Here we have some basic facts and figures about the Homeric. 639 feet long, 26,000 tons. This was an average size ship for its time. Average speed, 20 knots. Passenger capacity for a transatlantic voyage was 1,230 passengers. For cruises, it was reduced to 700 and a crew of 450. This compares to today's megaships that can typically carry 4,000 to 7,600 passengers. Regarding the air conditioning system, quote, air conditioning system designed by Carrier Corporation. It provides the Homeric with 32 million cubic feet of circulating air per hour, close quote. Fireproofing, quote, extensive use of Maritime throughout the Homeric provides the maximum protection against the hazards of fire, close quote. Marinite is made from what used to be referred to as that miracle material, asbestos. The SS United States had interior walls which were made of marinite. That is why the United States had its interiors gutted during 1993 to 1994. Fire resistance was an important issue after the deadly fires of the SS Laconia of 1963 and the Yarmouth Castle of 1965. These tragedies, especially the Yarmouth Castle fire, led to new safety standards that prematurely ended the careers of some ships who could not be upgraded to meet these standards. Yet the Homeric was able to meet these safety standards. Navigational and safety equipment. Quote, the Homeric is equipped with 2 radar systems, Sperry Compass and Sperry Gyropilot, and one of the latest developments of the Sperry Gyroscope Company, a Sperry Direct Reading Loran, an electronic system for determining the geographical position of a ship accurately day or night and any weather. Loran happened to be the predecessor to GPS. This was post-Andrea Doria, where the tragic collision between the Andrea Doria and the Stockholm may have been prevented with more advanced navigation systems. Quote, freshwater. Thanks to 2 most powerful evaporators, the Homeric produces over 91,000 gallons of fresh water per 24 hours, close quote. Here are sketches of the different rooms, activities, and services, naming their locations. We will be reviewing these later on within the deck plan of the Homeric. From the Homeline's Cruise Guide publication, quote, the Homeric is recognized far and wide as the fun ship among vessels cruising the tropical waters, close quote. Quote, There's a feeling of warmth here, of friendliness, and that's truly contagious, close quote. Quote, part of this is the result of the Homeline's cruise know-how, close quote. Quote, the dedication of all Italian personnel that was handpicked and specially trained to make every cruise member feel VIP, the ability of an experienced American cruise staff that keeps things going smoothly around the clock, close quote. And now we have safety information. The SS Homeric, registered in Panama, meets international safety standards for new ships developed in 1948 and meets 1966 fire safety requirements, close quote. The fatal fire on the Yarmouth Castle, which sailed from Miami in 1965, led to new fire safety requirements, which the Homeric was able to meet. Definitely something to reassure prospective cruisers for choosing the Homeric. So we boarded the Homeric with our baggage tags and ticket. Your baggage will be delivered to cabin U30. Now we are going to see some cool things that help Homelines and the fun ship Homeric develop a loyal following. Homelines did things in a way so not only to instill the memories of your top-notch cruise, but also to motivate you to share your experience with your relatives, friends, neighbors, and coworkers, so they may decide to take a Homelines cruise like the one on the Homeric. Recommendation, the best form of advertising. It starts with this piece. Say it in Italian. All of these useful phrases can be used when conversing with the Italian crew. On the reverse, it says, quote, in any language, Homeline stands for the finest in luxury cruising, close quote. How clever. Parla Italiano? Do you speak Italian? Look at this welcome aboard menu. I never saw a menu before that opens from the center. It looks like two stewards are opening the menu as if they were opening doors to let you enter the dining room. I also never saw a menu before that was organized like this before, where vertically written is the statement, quote, welcome aboard the SS Homeric, close quote. Each letter of the statement is the beginning of the name of a menu selection. How creative. Some of the delicacies on this menu include West Coast jumbo shrimp cocktail, wild boar terrine, caviar beluga, original Nova Scotia smoked salmon, oxtail soup with sherry, Atlantic sole fillets and lobster sauce, veal scallopini, capon, Hammond prime meat sirloin steak. I remember as a 9-year-old that you could order seconds, thirds, to infinity and beyond of any item on the menu. In summary, a cruise on the Homeric was a gastronomic experience. A Caribbean cruise ship with cuisine that rivaled the Cunard Queens, first class on the United States, the France, and the Italian line. And now for recipes of Homeline's dishes. If you've ever asked someone for a recipe, how often do they make excuses? I don't use recipes, or they verbally give it to you, but they leave out a few important steps, and what you made is nothing like what the original recipe was. Well, on the other hand, the Homelines were, in my opinion, marketing geniuses. They shared their recipes. What a way for someone to have their memory of their cruise reinforced by trying to replicate their favorite dishes from their cruise, and as well as to prepare that dish for their friends, family, relatives, neighbors, co-workers. I've never seen a cruise line share recipes. I will say the name of the recipe, and you could pause to read the details. With scallopini di tacchino real, chicken alla cacciatora, osso buco, delights of shrimps, Las Vegas, lobster Virgin Island, rock sea bass burrito, Bolognese meat sauce, tomato sauce, white clam sauce, crepes, lady, wonderful, caprice, dolce, monte bianco, pineapple, tropical night dream. That is just something no other cruise line would do. Let's do a brief overview of the activities aboard the Homeric. So, welcome aboard. Important. Read this, please. Passengers are warned against professional gamblers who may be traveling aboard ship. Losses or liabilities deriving from gambling must be assumed by the passengers themselves. I guess the Home Lines was not going to help passengers who made certain decisions. On the next page of the March 1st activities, tonight's dress optional. Gentlemen are kindly requested to wear ties and jackets in the evening in all public rooms. This dress code is definitely something of a bygone era. And by the way, as you'll see, there's a number of nights where there was formal dress required, unlike most ships today. On March 2nd, the movie The Funniest Man in the World, starring Charlie Chaplin. Another activity is informal cards, bridge, and canasta. In the evening, we have the captain's cocktail party in the Homeric Lounge. Check this out. Ladies' night in all lounges. You may ask any gentleman to dance and you can cut in. This is your evening, quote, girls, close quote. No gentleman may refuse. First of all, the quote, girls. Is that appropriate today? About asking any gentleman to dance, you can cut in and he can't refuse. Is this why the Homeric was called the fun ship? I wonder how many arguments and ruined evenings were the result of this activity. The activities on March 6th. The movie How Sweet It Is, starring James Garner and Debbie Reynolds. Tonight's dress, formal. No smoking is permitted in the Homeric Lounge during the show. So obviously it was a different time where you were able to smoke pretty much in most places of the ship. Regarding the formal dress, it says, for gentlemen, ties and jackets in all public rooms during the evening. Ladies, no slacks, please. Once again, this is kind of a throwback to a bygone era. On March 3rd, some of the activities include visit the ship's bridge. Very few ships today allow visitors to the bridge. There may be exceptions made for top-tier passengers. Also, there were Italian lessons and trap shooting. Trap shooting is where clay pigeons are hurled away from the ship, and passengers with real rifles try to shoot at the clay pigeons. This activity was done from the aft of the main deck. On March 7th, the following from this day's activities sounds like a quote from the introduction of Alfred Hitchcock Presents. Do you know how to beat the customs inspectors? We have finally discovered, after years of experimenting, a system of getting past the customs inspectors without trouble. Since it works every time, we think it is worth passing along. Our only request is that you do not let the United States customs inspectors know about it, because someone may want to use it again. Here's how it works. Make out your customs list in plenty of time. Tell the exact truth. Make no effort to conceal anything. Fill in price and try to put all of your things in one bag where everything can be found at once. Customs men are not different than anyone else. They don't like to have anything put over on them. It's a simple system and it works. This is where it all comes together. We will tour the Homeric deck by deck from aft to forward, so enjoy. Let's start with the boat deck. This is primarily outdoors. You will note that there were only 2 elevators on the ship. The Homeric was built in 1931. So that was the norm for a ship of this size built in that era. Here you can grab a chaise lounge looking over the aft. And here is the deck tennis and shuffleboard volleyball area. And now we are coming up to the second of the two lifts on the ship and the radio room, where you can order radiograms or telegrams to be sent. One deck below the boat deck is the promenade deck. The majority of public rooms are to be found on the promenade deck. Let's start with the outdoor mezzanine overlooking the pool on the deck below. There is the Club Capri, one of two card rooms on board, two promenades on each side of the ship afforded great views of the rough Atlantic during my voyage in March 1970. We also have table tennis or ping pong on the promenade deck. The rendezvous bar, and the Homeric Lounge, where the captain's gala welcome party is held. The library and writing room, the second of two card rooms, the reading and writing room, and the Continental Cocktail Lounge. All of these on the promenade deck. One deck below the promenade deck is the upper deck. So the upper deck consisted of the pool area, staterooms, suites, and the beauty parlor. So let's go through the upper deck. And we start off with the Sunway Beach Club and the pool. We then have the gymnasium, massage, and staterooms. We are going to proceed forward on the upper deck. We're going to go through the hallways, through what are considered to be the better staterooms on the ship, all of them having private facilities. And we're coming up to a suite. And then the beauty parlor. And we're going to continue through deluxe staterooms. And we are coming up to another type of cabin, which is what they call a deluxe convertible cabin. Here is cabin U30. Does anyone remember the significance of cabin U30? That was the cabin that I was in on the March 28th, 1970 voyage of the Homeric. That's the upper deck. One deck below the upper deck is the main deck. While the main deck was primarily cabins, it also had other features. Those included the children's playroom, as we're going to see first, and that will be followed by the Tino-Rama room. So the Homeric was definitely a family-oriented ship for its time. So we'll take a look at the illustrations first. We have the trap shooting off the aft promenade. children's playroom and the Teen-A-Rama room. Those look like very old teenagers. And then we have the rest of the deck, which happens to be cabins. And this is a good time to talk about that the Homeric had an 18-year run with the home lines until a kitchen fire in 1973 ended the ship's career, and it was scrapped in 1974. What a shame, as its sister ship, the former Monterey, sailed as the Britannicus till 1997, indicative of a potentially longer career that could have been had by the Homeric. One deck below the main deck is the A deck. On the A deck, it starts with public toilets, showers, and baths, as the aft staterooms on the deck lacked private facilities. This is a 1931 vintage ship which had a greater percentage of staterooms with facilities than other ships of the time. So we have the barber shop. And after we pass a number of staterooms, we have the main foyer where you would board or disembark. And we have also at this location in the foyer, we have the purser's office. We have more staterooms. The dance studio. And baggage room. One deck below A deck is B deck. And here on B deck from the aft, we start with the public facilities, public bathtubs, showers, and toilets, as none of the cabins on B deck have private facilities. So as we move forward on B deck, and this just goes to show you a stateroom on B deck. We then move to the next section of B deck where the dining salon is. And they had two seatings because the dining room was not large enough to hold everyone at the same time. But take a look at how people dressed back then. And of course, this is my mother and I in the dining room. And once again, this is our busboy, Bobo, and Nick, the waiter, lifting me up. We are proceeding forward as we pass over the rest of the dining salon over the gift shop. And then we go to D deck where the cinema is. An illustration of the cinema.
I hope you enjoyed this time travel with the Homeric. The Homelines took extra pride in providing a warm, elegant, luxurious cruise experience. What was your favorite part of the journey with the Homeric? The food, the recipes, the onboard activities, learning Italian, learning how to get around U.S. Customs, warning about professional gamblers? Please put your comments below. Hit the subscribe button to get alerts about new videos. Thank you very much. Arrivederci.